It would feel a significant absence, particularly Gabriel. We will wait to see, and guess we'll find out from Mikel Arteta probably on Friday as to how long it might be. But Gabriel has been immense this season, hasn't he?
I would say their best player, most instrumental player this season, leadership quality. Going into a North London derby at this weekend, there is no bigger game. Arsenal flying high at the top of the league. You need your players. Him and Saliba, for me, the best centre-half partnership in the league at the moment, and look like they were going to go on to win the title with a solid base. What they have, yes, they've conceded 2 goals against Sunderland. It's a very emotional game at the weekend. Tottenham are going there to derail their season. Don't worry about that. They're going to try their best to be able to do that. So it's a huge blow for Arsenal and for Mikel Arteta.
Let's talk more about Arsenal then, because Sky Sports have partnered with analyses, an app where passionate fans share their opinions on their club. If you want to represent your club, then scan the QR code or visit the Sky Sports app for more details. Let's talk to Arsenal fan Christian Tai. Christian, good morning to you. In terms of the players you feel you could afford to lose, where is he on the irreplaceable scale with comparison to the likes of an Ødegaard or a Rice or a Saka?
Yeah, he's right up there. Maybe the most important. I said a couple of weeks ago, I think there's 3. I think Declan Rice, Jurriën Timber and Gabriel. Those are the 3, I think, if they get injured, we have the biggest drop-off. And yeah, when I heard the news, I thought it was a joke. You know, I saw it on online, and I'd actually seen before Brazil played, I actually saw a rumour that he was injured, and then I kind of researched it, and I was like, oh, it's just, some trolls online. And then when I saw the actual news, I was like, oh, it must be trolls again. They got me earlier.
Just keep hoping the's loads of trolls out there. I mean, usually you're right, to be fair.
Yeah, usually. And I was like, hold on a sec. And then I see the picture of him kind of holding his thigh. And yeah, you see some tweet. I was like, there's no way. This happened with Martin Ødegaard last season, international break. It just feels like, look, I'm sure other clubs feel the same way, but as an Arsenal fan, it feels like it always happens to us. Just when we're in a great moment, just when the momentum is building, just when we should have been in a good place with injuries, The amount of attacking players that are going to be back. I think Madueke, Jesus, Havertz, Gyökeres, Ødegaard, Martinelli are all in contention for the next couple of weeks to come back. So it was like, all right, we've had injury problems already, but now we're getting through them. And then for this to happen, yeah, it hurts. It does hurt. And yeah, like you said, if there was one player you wouldn't want it to be, it's Gabriel.
Christian, as a fan, you always look at the internationals where your players are taking part and check if there's any injuries, just so, because it's a massive game, isn't it, at the weekend? You need to win that one.
Yeah, I always have a look. I always check Netherlands to see how Timber's doing, because obviously he had the ACL injury, so I'm like, oh, something could go wrong there.
Are you checking out Van de Ven at the same time?
No, I would never wish injury upon other teams.
Yeah, your nose is growing. But it's nearly as big as mine.
No, I never would, man. Look, I'm always a fan that I want the best to come up against us, because I want us to beat the best.
Yeah.
I think we played Manchester City and Rodri was missing at one point, maybe last season or the year before.
You're disappointed with that,
I want him to play. I want him to play because I want us to beat City. Do you know what I mean? And then we can say we beat City rather than the excuses come out, oh, but Rodri was missing. I think we played United a couple of years ago. They didn't have Casemiro, and that was the excuse. And I was like, I want us to beat them. Obviously, I don't want injuries on anyone. But yeah, always checking. It always feels like something happens. But we have the squad now, hopefully. I know I said this position will hurt us, but there's things we can do. You can put Calafiori left centre-back. I know he had his injury worries this international break as well, but apparently he's 100% ready. So you could put him centre-back, play Mars Lewis-Skelly. You could play Hincapié left centre-back. If you wanted to rejig it even more, maybe Mosquera comes in. You can move Saliba. We do have options, which I think is the difference now.
What would you do?
Years ago, I personally would play Calafiori left centre-back and play Mars Lewis-Skelly at left-back.
I think he's all right, Calafiori. I think the Italy game was a dead rubber. I think his priority is with Arsenal at the moment until the playoff.
Yeah, I think so. I think they said that he could have played in their next game, but they just didn't want to risk it.
Christian, is this crunch time for Arsenal in the coming weeks when you look at the fixtures that are on the way, both in the Premier League and the Champions League as well? I mean, if you can get through to the end of that Villa game away from home unscathed, you'll be surely feeling pretty bullish about your chances of winning the title.
Yeah, I said that these next 5 Premier League games could potentially define our season. Sunderland was included in that. Obviously, you've got Tottenham, Chelsea away, Brentford at home, Villa away, which obviously they're in great form. That's not going to be easy either. So, yeah, look, someone asked me the other day, out of those next 3, Tottenham at home, Bayern Munich at home, Chelsea away, what are if you could drop points in one, what would it be? And I said Bayern Munich. You know, the form we've been in the Champions League, if you could draw that, or even lose that. Obviously, I wouldn't want to lose that. But if it meant we beat Tottenham and beat Chelsea, I would take that all day. So, yeah look, let's just focus on Spurs on Sunday. Hopefully, we can get through it. I feel like we'll still have enough to do a job on Spurs, especially at the Emirates, and with the attacking players coming back. So
you do realise, Christian, Tottenham are better away from home.
They're better, but are they as good as us? That's the question.
Well, we'll see.
Christian, we will leave it there as Sherwood prods away outside off stump, but thank you very much indeed.
Let's go to the other side of North London then. Thomas Frank, this is so interesting, revealed that he spoke to both Chelsea and Manchester United about becoming their next head coach on the same day. This was last year. He wasn't offered either job, right? But
I was about to say, because if he spoke to them and...
Listen, he spoke to them both on the same day. It shows how much in demand he is. What an experience. What a day.
No, that was good. He's in demand. But why did none of them offer him the job?
Well, I don't have the answers for that.
Well, that's what I feel back to you. But I'm only joking. Listen, he is in demand. I always thought when the big jobs come available, he should have been given an opportunity. The job he's done at Brentford's been first class. Now he's gone to Tottenham, a big football club, and he needs to start delivering. It's been an okay start from him. And even though in a good position in the league, I think Tottenham fans are frustrated with their home form. Their home form has been nowhere near good enough. And he's probably trying to put his finger on it, why it's not been good enough. But what you have to realise with Thomas Frank, the football that the Tottenham fans want to see is not the football that Thomas Frank is going to play. You've seen it at Brentford. He was really diligent on his set pieces, and that was a big part of them set pieces and causing problems with Mbemba, Wissa and Sharda, the front three. And at times when Tony was there, it was Ivan Toney as well. So they'll always cause problems. And I think he basically says, let's be hard to beat, and the front 3 or 4 go and win us football matches. And that is what's going to be like at Tottenham. But I like Thomas Frank. I think he's a very good manager, very detailed. And I think as a player going into that football club, you know what you're expected from him. And yeah, I wish him well. I hope he does well.
What's it like then for the players who are there already, having a new manager come in, different style? How difficult is it to adapt?
It can take time, but he came at the start of the season, so they managed to have a pre-season, which is good. And I think that's a big thing. It's more difficult to adapt if you just lost the manager and then a week later a new manager comes in during the season. You don't have enough time on the training pitch to work with these players because, as we said, there's been loads of internationals. But I think coming in that pre-season, you can already see the players are buying into what he wants to do. And there's a lot of things where they're a threat from long throw-ons. They bring in the long throw-ons back in and set pieces, which he's massive on set pieces. But I think sometimes Tottenham fans want to be entertained with the style of football. That is not Thomas Frank, and it hasn't been. Even though he got great results at Brentford playing, at times it was good football, but it suited the way Brentford wanted to play. If Tottenham fans think Vicario's going to he's going to play to Mickey van der Ven Romero, and they're going to have 25 arm passes like Man City do and cross it into the box and Charleston's going to score, they're wrong. That's not going to be like that because Thomas Frank wants to get the ball quicker and cause other teams pressure. So you just have to buy into what he's doing. And at the moment, it's been an all right start. But as I said, they're 2-1 up against Man United. And you said earlier, Bella, they concede with the last header of the game against De Ligt. That's just, he'll be more frustrated about that because I know how big he is on set pieces. And that's just someone that's let their runner go and he gets a free header.
So maybe a little disconnect at the moment with the fans in terms of his ideas that he wants to implement. But I guess the best way to appease them would be a win in the North London derby.
He wins the North London derby. Fans are loving him. I think most of the fans do like Thomas Frank. It's just going to take time. But this is the game. This is the fans. The fans want the bragging rights for this are the games. And as a player, there's probably only a few that are going to be on the bench. Maybe Dane Scarlett will be involved, who's come through the academy that knows this game and what it means. But there is other players there as well, and it's a big game.
You literally have just got a smile on your face just thinking about it.
It's one of those where you're thinking, listen, I didn't play for Tottenham or Arsenal. I'd love to. I played for one of those two teams. But what I'd say is one of those where you're thinking, it's a derby game. You know what it's like. You want to be the hero in games like this, and you know it's bragging rights and fans will love you. So if Thomas Frank can get a result at the Emirates, it's a hard game because Arsenal are in fantastic form. With or without Gabriel, it's still going to be a difficult game. So, yeah, but it's one of these where one of these new players at Tottenham, someone like a Xavi Simons, could make himself a hero.
Absolutely. Well, a reminder that you can see
Gabriel's injury takes a new twist as a forgotten detail reignites the confusion between Arsenal and Brazil. Gabriel, Arsenal, and the Brazilian national team have all been thrust under the spotlight as fans grow increasingly frustrated with the defender's injury. Arsenal lost Gabriel Magalhães after it was confirmed he picked up a muscle issue during Brazil's friendly against Senegal, a development that immediately raised questions about who, if anyone, is to blame. Injuries can happen at any moment and are notoriously hard to predict. Still, reports emerged that Gabriel had been warming up separately from his teammates during Friday's training session. Concerns about his workload and the risk of injury had already been flagged, which only fueled the anger surrounding the situation. With so much uncertainty, it's worth examining whether anyone could have prevented this, and if so, who. Football London breaks down where the responsibility might lie, fairly or unfairly. Arsenal. Some supporters have criticized the club for allowing Gabriel to join the national team. But the truth is simple: Arsenal cannot block a player from joining his country. What they can do, and did, is pass on medical information, make recommendations, and ensure Brazil were fully aware of the physical concerns that led to Gabriel training separately on Friday. And this isn't the first time tensions between Arsenal and Brazil have surfaced. In 2023, then Brazil manager Fernando Diniz called up Gabriel Jesus despite the striker being sidelined with an injury suffered against Sevilla. Arsenal expected Jesus to miss time until after the international break. But because Gabriel Martinelli was not called up that same month, and unexpectedly returned early to score the winner against Manchester City, Diniz insisted on assessing Jesus himself. He explained, "Last time, we didn't call up Martinelli because he hadn't fully reported his condition to the CBF. We didn't think he would be ready to face Venezuela and Uruguay, but then he was fit for Arsenal. Because of that, we're calling Gabriel Jesus so we can evaluate his true physical condition." Gabriel Magalhães' situation, therefore, was clearly communicated to the Brazilian staff. Arsenal's influence in these scenarios is far smaller than many fans assume or hope. Brazil. Carlo Ancelotti is facing heavy scrutiny after the incident, especially since he publicly apologized to Arsenal fans when questioned about the injury. "Bad? I don't know yet," he said. "It's an adductor problem. The medical team will assess him tomorrow. We're very sorry about what happened, and we're disappointed. Whenever a player gets injured, we just hope he recovers well and quickly." Reports from Sky Sports highlight that Brazil were aware of concerns about Gabriel's workload, yet he still started a friendly. This alone raises serious questions. Mikel Arteta will face the media on Friday, and it's almost certain this topic will dominate the press conference. Gabriel Magalhães. Could Gabriel himself have stepped back, knowing his body and knowing that these were only friendlies, especially with a crucial run of games ahead for Arsenal? Only he can answer that. Representing Brazil is a deeply emotional honor, and for Brazilian players, the national team carries a level of passion that's hard to match anywhere else. Add to that the chance to play at the Emirates, his home stadium, and it's easy to understand why he wanted to be involved. But an interesting angle resurfaced. Comments from Juninho Paulista in 2023 suggested Gabriel's earlier decision to decline a call-up due to the birth of his daughter may have influenced his omission from the Qatar World Cup squad. Juninho said, "These are choices. I went through something similar. My son was born in England, and the next day I flew to Brazil because of a knee injury. My wife stayed there alone for 40 days with the help of a nanny. Did it hurt? Yes. But when decisions are made, everything gets weighed. And sometimes another player takes that opportunity." Could that moment have shaped Gabriel's mindset, making him unwilling to decline a call-up again, even if he wasn't 100%? There's no way to know unless the player himself speaks. The bottom line. Right now, assigning blame is impossible without full clarity, and much of the conversation is still speculation. What is certain is that Gabriel has suffered a confirmed muscle injury, and his chances of featuring in Arsenal's upcoming fixtures appear extremely slim. In the aftermath of the injury, both Arsenal and the Brazilian Federation now face increasing scrutiny over their handling of player workloads. Sources close to Arsenal's medical department suggest that the club had been closely monitoring Gabriel's physical metrics for weeks, especially after a congested run of fixtures in the Premier League and Champions League. Although no red flags were formally raised, the club had recommended caution, something they believed had been communicated clearly. Within Brazil's camp, however, the perspective seems different. Members of the technical staff believe Gabriel was fit enough to play and argue that friendly matches are crucial for evaluating squad depth ahead of major tournaments. They maintain that the defender showed no signs of discomfort before kickoff and that the injury was simply an unfortunate moment rather than evidence of mismanagement. Even so, questions are mounting about whether Brazil could have rotated more proactively, particularly given the rise of young centre-backs eager for minutes. Arsenal now must assess the full extent of the damage, both medically and competitively. Internally, the mood is one of frustration rather than outrage. The club recognizes that international duty is a fundamental part of a player's career, yet there is a growing belief that several of their key players have been overburdened across national and club responsibilities. This latest setback only intensifies ongoing discussions within the Premier League about establishing clearer protocols for communication between clubs and national teams regarding player fatigue data and training loads. For Mikel Arteta, the timing could hardly be worse. Arsenal are entering a defining stretch of fixtures, with crucial league matches and a decisive Champions League tie on the horizon. Losing a player as integral as Gabriel, a mainstay of the defensive line, forces the manager to rethink his approach. There is optimism around the squad's depth, but privately, the coaching staff admits that Gabriel's leadership, physicality, and understanding with William Saliba are difficult to replicate. Among supporters, reactions have been deeply divided. Some blame Brazil entirely, accusing the national team of carelessness. Others argue that Arsenal themselves have pushed their players too hard across multiple competitions. A growing segment believes the responsibility lies with the football calendar itself, which continues to expand without offering meaningful recovery windows. This debate has resurfaced calls from fans and pundits for reforms, including mandatory rest periods or stricter regulations on friendly matches during packed seasons. Meanwhile, in Brazil, the media conversation has intensified. Commentators question whether Ancelotti is underestimating the physical toll on European-based players, especially those coming from high-intensity clubs like Arsenal. There is also speculation that Brazil's staff may review their internal protocols after several players across different squads reported minor muscular issues during recent camps. While no official changes have been announced, pressure is growing for the federation to adopt more advanced monitoring systems similar to those used by top European teams. As for Gabriel himself, recovery will be the focus in the coming days. Early indications suggest he will undergo a detailed scan once he returns to London, after which the medical team will determine a timeline. Arsenal are expected to issue a formal update after the examination, though early expectations within the club hint at a cautious approach, given the risk of aggravation. What remains clear is that the fallout from this incident extends beyond a single injury. It has reignited long-standing tensions between club and country, exposed gaps in communication, and underscored the broader issue of player overload, a challenge that football still struggles to address. More developments are likely in the days ahead, and both Arsenal and Brazil will find themselves under continued scrutiny as the full picture emerges.